What's up, Hokie Nation, and welcome to the reboot of the Hokie Softball Podcast with Pete Demore. I'm your host, Carter Hill, joined alongside Taylor Brettel, and the pride of Monrovia, Maryland, the head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies, Pete Demore. Coach, how are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm fighting the toddler sickness right now. So my medicine of choice is Red Bull. So if you see me chugging it, I'm trying to keep a cough down. But thanks for doing this again. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what have you been up to the last couple months? I know fall ball obviously is very much, I guess it's kind of wrapped up by now, but you guys have had fall ball, recruiting, football weekends, all that jazz. What have you been up to as a whole?
That's about it, Carter. Yeah, just softball and well, first my son started going to school every day, so I got to take him to school, drop him off, come to softball, go do practice, pick him up, and play with my son afterwards, and that's it. So it's just repeat, and but it's good. There's no complaints. Love my job, love my son, love my wife, all that stuff. So it's all good.
It's really great to hear, Coach, and it's great to see you as always. Well, it's definitely a busy time of the year. We got some fun talk on the show. We got some softball talk on the show. Just starting off pretty broad, how has fall ball really looked for you so far?
Yeah, it's been a work in progress, which they always are, and you start off in August and you don't really know the makeup of your team. You have an idea, but we do things a little bit different. Our first segment of the fall is individual sessions, and you have about 8 hours a week to do those, and four of those are strength and conditioning. So in the past, we've done about 2 weeks of that, and this year we did about 5 weeks. And so what we do is we partner up players, and they come in and they get to work in on their own and with structure, and you tell them what needs to happen, but they have to get it done. So you say, Susie, you're paired up with Bobby Sue, and that's my son's favorite song right now. And you have to hit for a half hour on Monday, and they have to do it. There's no, well, I'm going to do. So they coordinate their schedules and they set the machines up. They go in and hit. A lot of times they're probably in here longer than a half hour, but to get the work in, and they also build camaraderie around the team and their teammates. So did that for about 5 weeks, and there's very little instruction there. It's more bat speed based and getting baseline numbers on our players. And we started our team practice in early October, and we played okay, but um, we were rusty. And you fast forward a month and a half, and we are swinging as well as we possibly can. Our pitching is doing really well, and our defense is good. So that first 5 weeks was kind of, let's see how it's going to go. Are we going to be behind, or are we going to struggle? And we did for a first week or so, but after that we turned up the player development, and we look really well right now.
So, since we last talked, not to shy away from fall ball real fast, but you were inducted into a Hall of Fame, the Greater Washington Fast Pitch Softball Hall of Fame up in Northern Virginia. Just kind of what does that mean to you? And I guess how much of an honor is that for you to kind of receive something like that at this point in your career?
Yeah, well, my first thing is I'm too young for that. I'm 45 years old, but no, it's an honor for me. And just a little background on the Hall of Fame. It's been around for a long time, and predominantly men's fast pitch players from the DC area that were worthy career wise to be in there. And so growing up, I was, the story. I was a bat boy for my dad's team, and from about 4 years old, I was in the dugout till about 8 or 9. I was in a dugout all the time with those guys, and a lot of those players are enshrined in the Hall of Fame. And so I always looked up to them, and there's so many guys that are in there, and my dad being one of them. And so stopped playing. Well, I stopped. I started playing baseball, got into baseball, and started playing men's fast pitch. And my career was not very long, but once I started coaching, I just stopped playing. So it's a big deal for me because I'm in with guys that I looked up to growing up. That's it. That was the coolest thing about it is, all these guys, Chris Williams and Dr. Benedictus and my dad, and I looked up to those players growing up. And when you're 4 or 5 years old, you're in a dugout there was no difference to me watching my dad play live and then flipping on the TV and seeing Cal Ripken. I mean, they're both playing the same sport. I don't know that they're playing softball or baseball. It's like those are the guys that I'm with all the time. So you look up to them. And so when you're enshrined in there, it's a big deal because I respected all those guys. So it's a big deal. It There's a lot of the men that are qualified are already in. So there's been a little bit of a lull as far as inductions. I think it's been dormant. The Hall of Fame inductions have been dormant for, I don't know, 8 years or so. So they want to revamp it, and they put me in, but they also put two really high level female softball players in Kat Sandercock and Lauren Gibson. And those two were unbelievable players, national team, World Series, all that kind of stuff. So it jump started the Hall of Fame. I'm thankful for that because it's a prestigious um, it's a prestigious club, so it deserves to be revamped. And just I'm thankful that I was included in the revamping of it.
What was it like when you first got that phone call? It had to be pretty surreal.
Yeah, it was funny. I was in the indoor, and usually my dad doesn't just call me out of the blue. So if he does, it's like, oh man, what's going on? And he goes, yeah, you around? And I said, yeah. He called me and he told me, and kind of speechless to tell you the truth. I wasn't expecting it, but you look back and you have some time to reflect. I think he called me in mid-September, and I had about a month to think about it, and it just sunk in, and it's just a cool honor for me.
That's really neat stuff to hear, Coach. And it sounds like you're definitely a big family guy. You talk about your dad and with your kids that you have as well. What does day to day look like for you trying to balance softball starting to ramp up, trying to balance your life at home? How does that just all lay out in a week for you?
Well, typical day, my son has to be out the door around 7:45. So I go into his room and wake him up around 6:50. So the first couple of days of school, I would get up at 6:45 and get him up. And I found out I didn't have enough time to get my coffee in and my alone time in. So I get up around 5:45 now, sit around, let the dog out, drink my coffee, get him up at 6:50, lay in bed with him for a little bit, get him ready, take him to school, and I'm in the indoor by 8:15, 8:20, and we're rolling at 9. So from about 9 to 12-ish, softball time, and then from 12 to around 5, I'm in the indoor getting all my stuff done, work wise, emails, calls, all that stuff, and then pick my son up. And if he had a good day, we'll take him to Lowe's to see the monsters, and if not, then we take him home, and I play with him there and get into bed around 7:45, 8 o'clock, and check some emails after that, and then I'm done. So just push the repeat button, and that's what's going on for the last 2 months.
Halloween's past, Christmas is coming up. Just keep on taking them to Lowe's. Now I can see the Christmas trees and everything too.
Yeah, that's the
Walking
thing.
down out aisle.
Oh yeah, Lowe's. They had the Christmas stuff in there about 3 weeks ago, so we actually had Halloween and a dose of Christmas, which is against the rules.
Yes.
It's against the rules. You can't have Christmas stuff until Thanksgiving's over. I'll tell my wife that if she's listening. But we went in the other night, and they've got all the Rudolph and Grinch and those kind of things. So we'll be in there quite a bit till Christmas time.
They start putting out like their Halloween stuff like the middle of August, which is just insane. Which is
Sure.
Yeah.
insane. Which is insane. I don't want to ask you to go like one by one, but can I kind of get your overall thoughts on the transfer class? You bring in three pieces: Addie Foster from Stetson, Bree Ward from South Carolina, started at Texas A&M, and then Haley Luganbill coming in from your neck of the woods, UMBC outside of Baltimore. So can you kind of just take us through the transfer class and what you like about that group as a whole?
Well, all three are extremely good teammates. And that's first and foremost. When you bring players into our program, you want to make sure they fit in the culture. And all three of them do. They work hard, accountable. It sounds like a broken record. It's just all the things that we've done since we've been here. And those kids, they fit in. Um, they have a growth mindset. So they want to get better. And so you look at Eddie Foster, and she doesn't care where she's playing. She's had a really good fall as far as offensively goes, or offense goes. And you play her center, you play her in the middle infield, really good at bats, just a hard worker, and all three of them are. And Bree Warren's got as much power as anybody I've ever seen, and she's really made strides the last, I would say, 2.5 weeks. And we got to remember she hasn't played for a year, so she's knocking the dust off, and she's looking good. She's got unlimited power, So awesome kid to be around, real mature, good teammate, like I said. And then Haley, same thing. She works hard. She's really made strides the last 2 weeks. We worked with her today. Her swing looks really good. Um, just fits our culture. All three of them do. So they're welcome additions for us.
And Coach Carter touched on the transfers as you did as well, but also some newcomers in the freshman class. For these underclassmen brand new to Virginia Tech, what have you seen from their game early on so far?
Yeah, they're again, they're hard workers. They're talented, and that's the thing. All kids, when they come in here, have a level of success in high school. And when you come into our program, in any program at college, it's going to be different for you. There's going to be a learning curve. And so, how do you deal with failure? If we go out and our first live scrimmage, you go 0 for 8, how do you deal with that? Because a lot of these kids have never failed before. And so, we've battled through that a little bit. And our freshmen are just onward, and you've really seen progress the last month or so. They're just really playing well. And, they're not as good as they're going to be, and they shouldn't be. They should be just getting better and better and better. And I've seen that, so I'm pleased with them.
When you look at the freshmen as a whole, they come from 6 different states. What goes into identifying certain talent there? And how do you kind of, everybody talks about a footprint, but at the same time, when you're adding pieces from all across the country, first off, what does that say about your ability to recruit? And what kind of goes into finding the right fits for Virginia Tech when you're going all across the US?
Yeah, good question. You talk about footprint, and that's where we go first. And so it's Virginia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, that area, 6 hour radius usually. And so you try to get those players, and after that, it's who's the best available and who can help us win. And so when you look at some of these players, and some of them we got somewhat late in the recruiting process, so they had a chip on their shoulder and said, "Well, I got overlooked, and Virginia Tech likes me, and they see something in me. I'm going to work my tail off to be the best version of myself when I get there." And that's kind of what it's like. I mean, you want kids that like Virginia Tech first, and so you go in the recruiting process, and man, I've always loved Virginia Tech. I'm a Hokie. Okay, that's pretty easy. Sometimes you go into the recruiting process and you're like, "Who's Virginia Tech? I don't know who they are." And so they come in here, and this place is pretty cool. I love it. And Carter, when kids get here, they love it. They don't want to leave. So that's kind of how. There's not exact science. You go after the kids in your footprint first, and then the best available players after that.
We've kind of bounced around from that freshman class and then from other transfers. How is just the recruiting process as a whole, dealing with that portal that's kind of open for such a short time frame? How do you really get someone to feel that commitment to Virginia Tech in the small amount of time that you have to possibly get them in Blacksburg?
Yeah, I don't. We don't make a living off the portal. That's kind of where we are. We're kind of old school as far as recruiting goes. We want the best high school players that we can possibly get, and then you sprinkle in transfers based on what you need. For us, if you're a freshman, you're talented, and you work hard and you stick with it, and you're a good teammate, you will get better here. So for us, it's, do you go after high school kids, which we are, and then all of a sudden you get 15 portal kids? Like, what does that tell your high school kids? It's, why would you recruit them if you're just going to over recruit them? And so we've stuck with what's worked for us, which is a certain kind of kid that comes in here, works their tail off, and it will get better. And that's kind of what we're doing right now.
So 3 alums from the program in the spring were with you guys in the fall. Bree Peck, Emma Lemley, Corey McMillan. What was it like to still have them in Blacksburg this past fall?
Yeah, I can't get rid of them. No, that's the one thing. We've been lucky that a lot of alums want to stick around and help us out and just be around the program for as long as they can, or as long as they can be. And so to have those three around, biggest advantage is they've been through what our program is like. And so you talk about the freshmen and going through the ups and downs of just the first couple of weeks. You can talk to Bree Peck because she went through that too. And hey, it's okay. You just stick with it. And like pitching wise, if you're working on a rise ball and it's not working for you, Lem's like, well, I was going through the same thing with my drops. Just stick with it. And that's kind of the biggest benefit for us is those kids have been through what these current kids are going through now, and they're so close in age that um, they gain credibility just by being here. So thankful to have them around. Yeah, hope they stick around for a while.
And having them as well outside the coaching, does it ever help when, maybe these kids coming out of high school, they get to be coached by them and it can kind of be like you could be me or this could be you at Virginia Tech, 2, 3, 4 years later. Does that help at all? I know sometimes they do that with football with recruiting, but not sure how that tails for you in softball.
Yeah, especially Corey and Emma because they played pro this year, and we've had quite a bit. Those two are around on recruiting weekends, and just to mingle with the recruits. And man, this is pretty cool. I get to see pro players and be around them and see where they started and where they finished, and they're pros now, and maybe I can do that too. So it's beneficial for us for sure.
I asked you this when we weren't recording a couple weeks ago, but just for those listening for the first time, Addie Green is now an assistant at Radford as well. So we talk about everybody at Virginia Tech, where you go 20 minutes down the road to Radford, and there's all these Hokies over there too with Cam Fagan and now Addie Green. Can you talk about the opportunity she's getting with the Highlanders and what kind of went into that to make sure that she got that position over there as well?
Yeah, I'm proud of them, and they're doing their own thing, and that's what I like about our kids that are coaching or young ladies that are coaching now. You get a baseline here of how you were coached, but I don't want them to go somewhere and just do what we do. Put your own flavor into it, but that's what they're doing. And Addie was in the corporate world, I think, or taking a gap year. And she called me this summer and said, I have this opportunity. Do you think I should take it? And I said, well, do you want to coach? She said, I think so, but I don't know if I'd be any good at it. And I said, Addie, you'd be great at it. And so she ended up going and going down to Radford, and she'll kill it. She's awesome. And the players, I'm sure, love her. They love Cam. I mean, they're just good people. So excited to see how they do this year, except for when they play us. And yeah, they're going to have a good year again. I'm sure of it.
Real fast too, before we move on to fun questions, what do the next couple months look like? You guys start up, guess the second week of February. Second week of February, you guys start the season. So we got, I'm doing mental math here, almost 3 months.
Yep.
So what is taking place? Obviously, winter break is in the midst of all that, but what is taking place between now and then to get you guys ready for the season?
Sure. That's a good question. I'll preface it by saying it's the scariest time for a head coach is the 3 months or a month and a half that you don't see your players. And so you work your tail off, and we're looking at all the metrics and how much improvement we've had since August. And it doesn't take very long to lose all those gains. So the point of emphasis to me to the players is you have to keep your gains. You have to just keep working. Doesn't mean you have to crush it every day. It's not what we're looking for. But if you take a week off and your bat speed will go from 68 to 61, it takes a lot longer to build it back up than it does for it to go down. So we'll come back, I think, a week before school starts, and we're not beholden to the 20-hour rule. So when we come back, when school starts, we have 20 hours to work with our team in practice and all that. And 5 of those are weights, 4 of those are weights. But that first week, it's all softball. And so the joke is, man, they're 10-hour days. No, we'll go about 4 hours, 10 to noon and 2 to 4, and get a lot of our baseline stuff and plays and all that in that week. And then once the season starts, class starts, it's more just maintain what we got and get us ready to play. So we'll send them home with strength and conditioning plan. I do a bat speed plan for them. arm care, all that kind of stuff. So when we come back, I think it's January 9th, they're ready to go. And we go till June. So that's kind of where we are.
Fun question time. And I
Oh,
think, so correct me if I'm wrong. We never did it when we did the podcast the last 2 years, but I think when Evan did it through Tech Athletics, it was called Story Time with Uncle Pete. Is that
well,
correct?
it was. That
Heck
was
yeah, it
when
was.
I wasn't a dad yet. So I had Uncle Pete, and I was an uncle, and story time with Uncle Pete. So it's kind of been a tradition.
So story time. Again, I asked you about this a couple weeks ago, but nobody has heard it. So you met Theo Vaughn, which by the way, for those listeners, because I think there will be some out there that
Yep.
don't know who Theo Vaughn is. He's a huge, huge influencer. He's got one of the biggest podcasts in the world. He's a big Vanderbilt football supporter. He was at the football game against Vanderbilt in September. Coach runs into Theo Vaughn on the field and takes a picture with him and then tweets it out for the world to see.
Yeah.
How was that meeting Theo Vaughn in person? That had to be like a dream come true.
Yeah, I know who he is. I don't listen to him all the time, but I know of him. And we were sitting there with the recruits on the field, and he walked by, and one of the players, I think one of our current kids, goes, "That's Theo Vaughn." And I said, "Really?" And there he was, and he walked away. And I didn't get to talk to him or anything. And the wrestlers were taking selfies with him. And so as we were down on the field for another 20 minutes or so, and we're walking down towards our seats, and he's just standing there by himself. And I tapped him on the shoulder, and he turned around like he wanted to knock me out. Like, who is this guy? And I said, "Hey, man, just I get a picture with you. I'm the coach." And oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So got the picture and said thank you, and off I went. But that was cool. Just you never know who you're gonna run into.
That's pretty fun stuff, Coach. When you go to a game, I don't know if you or anyone in your family likes to tailgate. Do you have a go-to tailgate food maybe that you like to bring, or are you just strictly business or just there for the gridiron?
Yeah, I'm not a big tailgate guy. Once I got out of my mid 20s, I was like, I'm going to go to the game and head out. And so to be out there the whole, you see some 8 p.m. games that people are out sitting around at 6 a.m. I just don't have that in me anymore. More power to the people that do. I would say if I were to eat, it's meat. Whatever meat's available on the grill, I'm going to eat it. So brats and hamburgers and all that kind of stuff. That's where I'm going.
It's funny you say that about tailgating because honestly, the tailgates before softball games are very good too.
Yeah,
The
sure.
amount of games that I worked and called for you guys this year where I would swing by the lots and Mr. Chatfield would stop me and I'd swing by and I'd swing by his tailgate. They had a good spread.
Yeah, I bet.
They had a very, very, very good spread. So they know how to tailgate too. They know how to tailgate too.
Well,
But just kind of moving on to this. This is a question that I kind of came up with. I was talking to somebody else about this the other day, and I like to bring up this theme because it creates some interesting stories. If you had to umpire your own game, how long would it take for you to eject yourself?
it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. And good story. We have an umpire came to talk to us, uh, to our team, more so the pitchers and the catchers, and we're talking about just what an umpire's mentality is in a game. And you think about a home plate umpire, and they said, well, he said, we're kind of on an island, and we don't talk to the other umpires in between innings. All eyes are on us, and so the one thing that he said to us was, try not to show emotion when we get something wrong, because we're human. And so I think about that, and you think about you're a hitter, and they call a strike that's outside 3 inches. And as a hitter, you know it's a ball, but they called it a strike, and you slump your shoulders. And now the umpire's like, man, I already knew I screwed up. I don't need somebody to show me that, you know? So, and I asked a couple questions that I said, do you ever want to hear players chirping at you? He goes, no way. No, I don't want to hear that. And I said, what about assistants? And he said, assistants, no. And I said, my philosophy on umpires is you're going to hear from me when I think it's appropriate. So if it's the first inning, second inning, third inning, and I'm not saying anything, and they're making, questionable calls, don't say much. But the first time I do in the fourth inning, I said, "Do you guys hear me?" Yes. Okay, got it. So it's almost like picking your spots, you know. And he goes, "We love doing Virginia Tech games because we know that you are only going to say something when it really matters." And I said, "Okay," and it kind of pumped my ego up a little bit, like I needed pumped it. Yeah, but that just made sense to me. It's like let's help these guys out a little bit more, and so I haven't been tossed in a couple of years, Carter.
I
Not gonna.
know, I know. Danny and I were talking about that before the podcast.
Yeah,
Lucky in 22, correct?
yeah, it was probably the one game in regionals, and so kind of simmered down since then.
All right, all right, all right. Well, you have a son now. You have a son. Maybe that changes things.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
So I pulled up Twitter before we wrap it up. I don't know if people could see 100. It's backwards.
I
116
can't even see
bombs
that.
yesterday
Yep,
at TSP. What was the high this fall? How many homers did you hit in a day that was maybe the highest that you guys hit over fall ball?
around there, 16, 17. Uh,
Okay.
that was the one thing we were talking about progressing as the fall goes. In the first couple bomb Fridays that we had in early October, we were hitting like 57, 58, and man, we're going to be a slapping team this year. Still 200 bases, and that just shows we're back in our power is back, and that's just hard work from the players, and they killed it in the weight room, killed it in what we do here in practice, and we're swinging really well right now. So 116 yesterday, and that's about on par for previous year's teams.
I was walking by, I was working a football game a couple weeks ago, and it was the Friday, it must have been before the Wake Forest game, maybe. And I'm walking by the Frank Beamer statue across the street, Beamer Way, and you guys are hitting. And I'm on like the left hand side of the sidewalk, and I'm looking down at my phone with like a cable in my hand, and I look up and boom off the front wall of the Frank Beamer
Oh,
statue, and I turn to that meme where I think it's Vince McMahon that
Yep.
everybody like they tweeted out on Twitter and everything,
Yep.
and he's like, "That was
Yeah.
special. That was
Yeah.
special." So I'm
Yeah.
walking by, I'm like, "Yep." I couldn't see it was hitting, but the presence is certainly felt across Beamer Way when you guys are certainly taking BP, I guess. So it's
Yeah.
always a good time.
We had a scrimmage a couple weeks ago, and Nora hit one foul that cleared the road. You know, it's just like, man, it's
wow.
crazy. And that's not a tangent here, but the fences are still 200, 220. And so these players nowadays are so strong that the game has not evolved as far as the fences should be moved back a little bit. Now, we can't really move them back due to, land mass and all that. So you ask why we're trying to hit home runs, it's if Nora's hitting one when she squares it up over the road, she's probably still going to hit one out or a double if she doesn't hit it well. So why don't we just hit the balls hard, see what happens, and uh, that's kind of what our mindset is.
Love it. Love it. Coach, we got to wrap it up. Really appreciate your time. Best of luck the rest of the fall. We will talk to you very, very soon.
All right, thanks, boys. Gobble gobble.
Gobble,
Thank you,
gobble.
coach.